Let us start by traveling a long time ago, to the 2010s, in a college dorm room far, far away. Or perhaps a pre-dawn Uber, where drivers seek momentary salvation. Or even a music festival where partiers mix questionable cocktails. Now, somewhere in these vivacious vignettes, surely at one time or another, you'll find some distinctive blue and silver cans appearing in your periphery. You see, throughout the late 2000s and 2010s, Red Bull dominated life's pressure points, the gap between human limitations and society's demands. Need to code for 18 hours straight? Get a Red Bull. Pull 3 consecutive all-nighters for your school finals? Red Bull. Drive cross-country without stopping? Red Bull. The brand became the unofficial beverage of ambition, the liquid bridge between what bodies could do and what success required of them. Certainly, what set their marketing genius apart was their ability to sell possibility, the promise that biological limits were merely suggestions. They funded athletes jumping from space and racers driving at 300 kilometers per hour, whispering to ordinary people that they too could transcend mortal boundaries. And from their headquarters in a Thai town with a population of 1,500, they have commanded a business empire spanning 178 countries and somehow conquering Austria's business world without firing a single shot. But the dynasty orchestrating this unlikely dominion from both Bangkok boardrooms and Alpine offices harbored difficulties more harrowing than any crash after a caffeine high. Therefore, on today's episode of Old Money Empires, we share the story of how a Thai farmer's son created an empire that would make modern Austria more synonymous with energy drinks than classical music. The Yoovidhya family sits atop Thailand's wealth pyramid with a staggering fortune of $44.5 billion, outpacing the second-richest Hainan brothers by nearly $9 billion. Their wealth surged by $8.5 billion in 2024 alone, the largest single-year gain of any Asian dynasty. Through their energy drink empire, this Thai dynasty has become so powerful that they effectively control Austria's most famous global brand and employ nearly 20,000 people across Europe. This astronomical fortune flows from one deceptively simple source: a syrupy energy drink that transformed from a truck driver's pick-me-up into the world's most dominant energy brand. Red Bull GmbH, the Austrian company they co-founded, generates nearly $13 billion in annual revenue and sells almost 13 billion cans worldwide. The family controls 49% of this privately held empire through their Hong Kong-based TC Agro trading company, a stake valued at approximately $27.9 billion. And beyond their energy drink dominion, the dynasty's tentacles reach into Thailand's wine industry, luxury car imports as the sole Ferrari dealer, private hospitals, and stakes in airlines. Their patriarch, Chalerm Yoovidhya, now 74 years old, inherited his empire from his father, Chaleo, a duck farmer's son who created the original Red Bull formula in 1976. Chalerm maintains the family tradition of extreme privacy, rarely granting interviews while managing a portfolio that includes everything from Siam Winery to Cavallino Motors. And the family's wealth manifests in jaw-dropping displays of luxury that would make most European aristocrats blush. They own at least 5 multi-million-dollar properties in London's most exclusive neighborhoods, all cleverly held through a web of offshore companies exposed in the Panama Papers. Their Bangkok compound sits behind gates in the capital's wealthiest district, while family members jet between continents on Red Bull's fleet of private aircraft. The Ferrari dealership they own boasts Southeast Asia's largest showroom, spanning 6,000 square meters of Italian automotive excess. Red Bull maintains the Flying Bulls, an entire fleet of restored classic aircraft housed in their custom hangar at Salzburg Airport. The family reportedly keeps a stable of thoroughbred racehorses, though they guard details as closely as their Swiss bank accounts. And the family members carry telling names. Believe it or not, one son goes by Porsche, and a daughter answers to champagne. Chalerm reportedly has 11 children who enjoy lives of unimaginable privilege, from $5.9 million Chicago townhouses to custom ski chalets at Japan's Mount Niseko and Upuri. The youngest heir once posted Instagram photos holding a $10,000 bicycle in Bangkok. Yet beneath this glittering surface lies a darker tale. Varayuth boss Yoovidhya, the youngest scion, became Thailand's most notorious fugitive after a 2012 incident involving his Ferrari and a police officer. His social media once documented a lifestyle of $1,000 per night resorts and Gordon Ramsay restaurant birthday celebrations. He owned a black Porsche Carrera in London with the custom license plate B055RBR for Boss Red Bull Racing. Today he remains at large, having fled Thailand on a private jet in 2017, abandoning the aircraft in Singapore. The Yoovidhya billions represent both spectacular business triumphs and, for some, troubling questions about justice in the land of smiles. But the road to these billions began not in boardrooms or Beverly Hills, but in the humid back streets of 1960s Bangkok, where a pharmaceutical salesman with minimal education was about to stumble upon liquid gold. The man who would create a $44 billion empire began life as Yoovidhya, a name that Thai authorities would soon force him to abandon. His family had fled Hainan Island, that hardscrabble outpost off southern China where even exiled poets like Su Dongpo complained about the brutal living conditions. The Shu family spoke Kengbun, a dialect so distinct that other Chinese immigrants couldn't understand them, a linguistic isolation that would mark them as outsiders among outsiders. They arrived in Thailand during the bloodiest decades of Chinese history, when the Taiping Rebellion killed 30 million people and warlords carved up the countryside like butchers, dividing a carcass. In 1936 alone, 33,000 Hainanese fled their island home, followed by 44,000 more in the next year as Japanese bombs fell on southern China. The Shu family joined 2 million other Hainanese who eventually would settle in Thailand, arriving after the Chow Chow and Hakka communities had already claimed the lucrative tin mines and rubber plantations. This led the Hainanese to scramble for whatever economic scraps remained: coffee shops, restaurants, textile work, and the backbreaking labor that established Chinese tried to avoid. Thailand initially welcomed these desperate immigrants, with King Chulalongkorn rejecting Western advisors who urged him to adopt exclusion laws like those in America and Australia. But everything changed when Thai-Chinese merchants organized a general strike in May 1910, paralyzing Bangkok for 3 days and exposing their stranglehold on the kingdom's economy. King Rama VI responded with venom, publishing a pamphlet titled "The Jews of the East," that branded Chinese immigrants as avaricious barbarians entirely devoid of morals and mercy. By the 1920s, as young Xu Shubao entered the world, a royal decree forced all Chinese residents to adopt Thai surnames or face legal consequences. The surname Xu became Yoovidhya, a phonetic transliteration that erased visible Chinese identity while the family's poverty erased everything else. Chaleo Yoovidhya, as he would now be known, was born in 1923 in Pichit Province, 326 kilometers north of Bangkok, where rivers flooded annually and prosperity never arrived at all. His parents raised ducks and sold fruits, twin occupations that ranked among the lowest rungs of Thai society's economic ladder. The third of 5 children, Chaleo watched his elder brother escape to Bangkok's chemist shops while he remained trapped feeding ducks and hauling fruit to market. School became an impossible luxury, when every family member's labor meant the difference between eating and starving. The boy who couldn't afford textbooks would later amass billions, but first he learned the lessons that formal education never teaches. He discovered how exhaustion feels in your bones after 16-hour days in the duck pens. He understood what truck drivers needed because he had loaded their vehicles himself with produce until his hands bled. He grasped the desperation of construction workers because poverty had taught him that tomorrow's meal was never guaranteed. These lessons from Peachit's muddy fields would prove more valuable than any MBA when a young man decided to gamble everything on a syrupy brown liquid that promised to keep Thailand's workers awake through another grueling shift. The duck farmer's son arrived in Bangkok clutching nothing but ambition and the address of his brother's chemist shop. Chaleo worked as a bus conductor by day and fruit vendor by night, sleeping in the stockroom among boxes of antibiotics that would teach him the pharmaceutical trade. In 1962, at the age of 39, he scraped together enough capital to found TC Pharmaceutical Industries in Bangkok's Old Quarter. His first products, Undothalon for diarrhea and Alamak for stomach aches, sold modestly until he pioneered Thailand's first taxi lightbox advertisements. The glowing boxes atop Bangkok's cabs made TC Mycin antibiotics a household name overnight. But Chaleo noticed something peculiar about Japan's Lipovitan D energy drink, which had conquered Thailand's wealthy elite since arriving in 1962. The Japanese manufacturer earned so much from their bitter tonic that they became Japan's top taxpayer in the 1980s at the peak of the Japanese economic bubble of the time. Yet Lipovitan ignored the truck drivers, factory workers, and construction crews who truly needed liquid energy to survive 16-hour shifts. Chaleo spent years analyzing the formula, discovering all energy drinks followed the same recipe: caffeine, taurine, B vitamins, and glucuronolactone, differing only in ratios. His breakthrough came through what he called divine inspiration, adding sugar to mask the medicinal taste that Thai palates rejected. In 1976, he launched Krating Dang, naming it after a massive wild gaur that symbolized raw power in Thai culture. Two Red Bulls charged at each other beneath a yellow sun on brown pharmacy bottles containing 150 milliliters of syrupy salvation. While competitors chased Bangkok's Mercedes-driving executives, Chaleo sent free samples to truck stops along Thailand's dusty provincial highways. He sponsored Muay Thai boxing matches, knowing that associating his drinks with warriors would resonate with working-class culture. Factory gates became distribution points, where exhausted workers discovered the sweet liquid that promised 4 more productive hours. Within 12 months, Krating Dang had become Thailand's second best-selling energy drink. By 1978, just 2 years after launch, it overtook Lipovitan D to claim the throne. The drink became Thailand's unofficial beverage during the economic boom, fueling the workforce that transformed rice paddies into factories. Chaleo's son Saravut would later reveal the philosophy. My father stressed brand building, a marketing strategy that had not been widely employed up to that time. The genius lay not in the formula, but in understanding that truck drivers, not executives, built nations. Then in 1982, an Austrian toothpaste salesman named Dietrich Mateschitz stumbled off a plane in Bangkok, jet-lagged and miserable. One bottle of Krating Dang erased his fatigue so completely that he returned 2 years later with $500,000 and a partnership proposal. They would split up ownership 49% each, with Chaleo's son Chalerm taking 2% and Mateschitz would carbonate the formula for Western tongues. On April 1st, 1987, Red Bull launched in Austria despite focus groups declaring the taste revolting. The duck farmer's divine inspiration was about to conquer the world, one sleepless worker at a time. The Dynasty's greatest shame, Vorayut's 2012 hit-and-run killing of Police Sergeant Major Vachayan Klanprasert, had already inflicted incalculable damage on the family name. But an even costlier crisis was brewing in China, where Chaleo's 1993 partnership with entrepreneur Yan Bin had transformed into a billion-dollar betrayal. Yan Bin's Rainwood Group had rebuilt Red Bull China into a $3 billion annual powerhouse, commanding 56% of the functional drink market by 2019. When their 20-year agreement approached expiration in 2016, Yan Bin produced a mysterious document claiming 50 years of exclusive rights through 2045. TCP Group insisted the partnership ended in 2016, but Chinese courts split catastrophically. The Supreme Court recognized TCP's trademark ownership, while lower courts upheld Rainwood's exclusive usage rights. The legal war spawned over 20 lawsuits across multiple jurisdictions, each verdict contradicting the last. By 2024, Red Bull China's revenue had barely recovered to 2016 levels, while competitor Eastrock seized the crown as China's #1 energy drink. TCP invested $150 million over 3 years building new plants in Sichuan and Guangxi, desperately trying to reclaim their hijacked market. The family had lost at least $1.1 billion in market share to a partner who refused to leave. Meanwhile, a more existential crisis loomed behind the golden gates of the family compound. Despite commanding $44.5 billion, not a single third-generation Yoovidhya worked in the family business. Chalerm reportedly had 11 children with wife Durrani, while Varayuth fled as a fugitive. Varit maintained no public business role, and one son merely collected luxury properties in Chicago. So Reboot had transformed TCP Group into a sophisticated conglomerate targeting $2.5 billion in annual revenue, but his own children remained invisible in company operations. They might pass the group's management to external professionals, predicted a Thai business analyst. That prophecy materialized on the Austrian side when Dietrich Mateschitz died of pancreatic cancer in October 2022. His son, Mark, inheriting 49% of Red Bull worth $25 billion, made a startling declaration. "I do not believe one should be both an employee and a shareholder of the same company." Mark appointed a 3-person executive board while stepping away from operations entirely. The Thai family watched this model with interest, especially after Chalerm transferred his personal 2% stake to a Swiss trust in May 2025. That 2% tiebreaker proved critical when Christian Horner faced removal as Red Bull Racing's team principal. 5 weeks after the trust transfer, Horner was gone. The Thai family's silent veto finally exercised. The empire Chileo built selling energy to truck drivers now faced its greatest challenge: finding heirs willing to drive it forward rather than merely counting the billions. The numbers that once soared like Red Bull's flying wings now tell a different story. In 2024, for the first time in company history, Red Bull's American sales volumes declined by 3.8%. Celsius Holdings, a startup that barely existed 5 years ago, captured 11.8% of the US market by promising healthy energy without the 27 grams of sugar Red Bull stubbornly maintains. 81% of convenience store operators plan to give Celsius more shelf space in 2025, the biggest increase for any non-alcoholic beverage. Amazon shoppers now choose Celsius 19.7% of the time versus Red Bull's 14%. Indeed, the empire built on truck drivers' exhaustion faces consumers who count calories and fear diabetes. In China, where Red Bull once commanded 35% of global sales, the family's greatest strategic blunder continues hemorrhaging billions. Chileo's 1995 handshake with Yanbin granted away what would become their most valuable market. Now Eastrock reigns as China's energy drink champion, while 2 warring Red Bulls exhaust themselves in courtrooms from Beijing to Guangdong. TCP's authentic Red Bulls scraped together $150 million in Chinese sales, less than 5% of what their former partner generates. The family invested another $150 million building plants in Sichuan and Guangxi, chasing a market that may be permanently lost. Meanwhile, 28 countries have imposed age restrictions on energy drinks as health authorities warn about cardiovascular risks. Sugar taxes spread across jurisdictions, while Red Bull clings to its original formula like a drowning man grips driftwood. The company that revolutionized beverage marketing now watches competitors pivot to iced teas, natural boosters, and metabolism enhancers. Red Bull offers 2 choices: sugar-laden original or a sugar-free variant that comprises only 8% of sales. Strategic rigidity compounds succession paralysis. Not one of Chalerm's 11 children works in the business they stand to inherit. No grandchildren apprentice in Bangkok factories or Austrian boardrooms. Professional managers competently execute quarterly targets, while the entrepreneurial fire that created an empire slowly suffocates. History teaches that family dynasties rarely survive the 3rd generation's disengagement. The Ambanis groom heirs from childhood. The Lees of Samsung maintain iron succession despite legal storms, but the Yoovidhyas float like their heir Virayut's abandoned private jet, technically airworthy, but going nowhere. Yet $44.5 billion and 43% global market share provide some formidable defensive positions. The next 5 years will determine whether professional managers can adapt what family passion created. And now we'd love to see you in the comments, which wealthy family from around the world would you like us to cover next? We just started this brand new channel, as you see, and we'd love to get your input below. And if you want even more content for free, be sure to visit that first link in the video description to join our Substack totally for free. And we appreciate your time, and we'll see you on the next one. Cheers.